And we're live with a brand new episode of Nights Live. We have an exciting episode for all you guys, but first things first, let's congratulate our Rocket League team for just getting wet because they beat Moist Esports. So, go dry off, guys, after a successful dub. But today we have a lot of things to go over today. So, esports news with LaFortune, Twitch drama, and then I have the pleasure of interviewing our main man, McCoy, which I'm already looking forward to. Again, this is going to be a great episode. Grab your popcorn, go to the bathroom, because after this quick commercial break, we're hopping right in. See you soon. Hey, and we're back, and join me and welcome my main man, Keith LaFortune.
Hey, well, see, you said McCoy was your main man.
You're
Now
both.
I'm your main man,
I can't
so I
have
think
two
there's
main
gonna be
mans.
a little bit of conflict. Well, I kind of want to be the main man if I am the main man.
You know what? We can settle this in Omega Strikers.
We could have a little 1v1 or 3. You build your team, I'll build my team. Winner's the main man, or maybe you want me to play McCoy. Either
Yeah,
way,
you
I'll
have to play
win.
McCoy. This is the honor of being my main man. So I'm
Okay,
like the
okay,
judge, the guy holding the trophy in the shiny red
yep.
dress. You know.
So what if we do this? We'll play in Omega Strikers, then we'll play in PubG, then to settle it, we'll play in Valorant. I think that's fair.
Okay, I think that's fair. Whenever he's on, I'm going to tell him like Keith has issued the challenge. Are you going to accept?
Yeah.
But let's get right into it, bro. So the craziness in esports right now. You,
Yeah, I mean, geez, where do you start? I mean, VCT, right? And you have qualified teams, and you have all this madness going on, and right, have been finally announced the teams that qualified, the 30 teams, and
Mhm,
I don't see us on that list, so I'm disappointed. But it's a competitive list, I'd say.
mhm.
But with a competitive list this small, and we kind of touched upon the last episode, is there's going to be a lot of changes coming for majority of these teams.
So are there okay? So out of the list, like we'll start with VCT Americas. Is there any
Sure.
teams that like shocked you that they were selected?
Yeah, I think I was a little surprised to see EG.
Hmm.
Um, I'm supposing they have some really good backing, and as an org, they're run pretty relatively well. Their team is just not where I think it should be for VCT level, and so
Hmm.
that leads me to suspect, right? We're missing teams like V1. We're missing teams like
Exit
um,
Regard.
Xset, Optic, right?
True.
And all these rosters now don't have anywhere to play. I know V1 came out and said, we might be hanging on to our team depending on the tier 2 scene.
Hmm.
But if I'm EG, I'm 100 Thieves, your Sentinels, your Energy, even Cloud9, every team is going to be picking up new players. You are going to lose really badly if you're at EG and you're keeping that same roster. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if they have faith in it.
Uh-huh.
You will lose really badly because we just went from, let's say, 20 competitive teams in North America to technically 5. There's not a lot of room for people that snuck in when there's 20 teams.
Hmm.
There's just no room, and I'm interested to see. We've seen the exec guys say, "Hey, we want to stick together as 5. We want to keep our coach. We want to keep our play."
Hmm.
If I'm EG, you're going, well, that's an upgrade,
True.
and
True.
we have
They had a
stipend
solid
money
run this year.
now.
They had a solid
Right,
run.
right. You're going. We have stipend money now. We're in this to win this. Obviously, we got in, which is the big challenge. Now you have to make the hard choices. I think 100 Thieves are going to make 2 player changes, probably, if I had to guess. I'll just run through them for fun.
Mm-hmm.
C9 is probably going to make 1, if not 2. EG, I think the entire
Entire
team,
roster.
maybe 1 player would stay. Yeah, roster. I think Sentinels, I actually believe they're going to pick up the entire Optic roster, or at
Do
least
you?
pieces of it. Yeah, I think they'll pick up pieces of it. Energy, I think they're going to make 2 or 3 changes. What shocked me about this list was the LATAM teams to see this many.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, it's shocking not to see an Optic, not to see an X set, the Guard, FaZe, right? TSM, like,
Well, I was gonna say,
I
didn't a
thought one of
Latin
those,
team win VCT this year?
it doesn't count.
Does it count? I was gonna say maybe
Okay,
that played a factor.
I think Loud, deserves it. They played really, really well. Leviathan just haven't been hitting the mark. I think Crew's been a bottom of the barrel team for a little bit. MIBR haven't really found their footing. Furia, a team that really hasn't scratched competitive international events. Um, I see why they do it. As far as other regions go, EMEA um, kind of makes sense.
Mhm.
Notably missing G2. Everybody knows the reason why for those.
Do you see
And
the
then
jokes with that? They're like they played
Unreal.
themselves twice. Like they had
They
two
they did
shots,
get
and
owned.
how
They
you missed both shots?
they were also a shoe-in, so that's a crazy story. And then Pacific again to see T1 and Genji move over just kind of makes sense.
Hmm.
From what I'm hearing through the grapevine, is the current T1 team is going to be the one that moves over. So that means Steel. That means those guys. They have the main Korean core, but they're going to keep those 2 pieces. If that's not going to change in the future, who knows? But I think it's exciting. I think, as the years progress, it should expand naturally. And hopefully the tier 2 scene gets, the grassroots planted.
Okay, I'm putting your psychic cap on, bro.
Yep.
And
Yep.
who is gonna be the most impressive team year one? Who do you think is gonna?
So this might be really shockers. So I'm actually going to have Sentinels with their pickups they're going to make because they're a bottomless pit of money, or at least seem to be. I don't know how. They're gonna build the craziest roster. I think Energy is gonna be a close second, but I think the one team that's gonna surprise everybody is gonna be 100 Thieves. I think they're gonna make
100
really
Thieves.
good changes, and I think their coaching staff is better than any other coaching staff in North America, LATAM, EMEA. Um, I don't think anybody comes close.
Hmm.
So I think 100 Thieves is gonna be at top. Sentinel's gonna be a close second. I think you're gonna see EG struggle at first because changing 1 or 2 players, difficult as is. Changing the whole roster, now that's just a completely different
I mean, well,
story.
what if they pick up Exit, the whole squad?
Um, that I would still put them at third,
Hmm.
probably. I think Cryo and Zekin need another year to develop as players.
Hmm.
I think don't get me wrong, they're really good right now and really mechanically gifted. I just think they just don't have that experience. And I think this last land should help them get that. And they're still going to grow as teammates. But I think if that team splits up, you're starting over.
Hmm.
So I want them to do well. I want them to thrive. But again, I think they're just young players who just need that bit more time.
Hmm. Okay, to play devil's advocate, who do you think took G2's spot?
So from what I remember hearing, I think it was a LATAM team. I believe it was Leviathan.
Hmm.
So apparently for what happened is, I heard rumors that TSM might get it, and then I heard rumors that, oh, what about Optic? And they ended up going with Leviathan. I think that's a fair shout. I think they're probably the second best, LATAM team right behind Loud. As I said, MIBR and Crew, who may have big backings and big fans bases,
Hmm.
just don't have the teams yet. And same with Furia. But I think, yeah, Leviathan makes sense. I'm an NA bias guy. Good thing Riot's not, because otherwise this would have looked a little different if I made it. But yeah, I Leviathan, I'm pretty sure took G2 spot. It's crazy. I think they had it locked up and they're going to come to North America, and this is the list we ended with. I think some big brands there and some big brands missing, which I think is, from 2 years ago. It's crazy how quick things progress.
Is there anything you would want to say to all the Valorant players trying to keep their hopes alive and like
Yeah.
shooting for a chance to be on these teams?
Yeah, I mean it's a very disheartening time. I've been feeling it, so I can only imagine what these players from the teams that didn't make it, who have been playing well, who've been putting their hearts into this game. But I think this is one of those pivotal moments where you can't dread on things you can't control. And this is one of those moments where you have to prove, you're the guy for this game, and you're going to get on one of these teams. I think everybody tweeting, oh, applying to McDonald's and raging scrims
I can't
and
stand
not
the whole
being.
applying to McDonald's thing.
It's so
So
bad.
it's cringe.
It looks awful on you. It's just not funny. It
Hmm.
hasn't been funny since like 1993. Like eh, I think if there's ever a time that this is what you want to do with your career and this is the game you want to play and compete at the highest level in, now's the time to show it. You
Exactly.
grind, you put in the work, you don't complain. Because if you complain, you cry on Twitter, it just looks awful.
All right. Let's move on to some other crazy news going on. Let's talk about the Twitch
Yeah.
bans on gambling. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of big streamers. Pokimane, I know Hassan was big against gambling.
Hmm.
I think it's a bit more touchy than they might think because I think it's a little virtue signaling to blanket cover statement it and just say we're doing this for the better of people.
Hmm.
I understand gambling is a big addiction problem. People can get addicted to it, and if there's a platform for them to get hooked in on it,
Hmm.
that's a problem. But I haven't seen like the big streamers like Trainwrecks and these other people promoting the websites, giving out codes, telling their viewers to go gamble.
Hmm.
It seems like the people get the excitement from watching someone else do it. And if that turns into you gambling, then inherently, sure, you could link that back to Trainwrecks. But I think it is still a net positive. I think it still goes in the right direction. But I think Twitch has the narrative going too many different ways for them to control now.
Hmm.
And now they've dug themselves in a little bit of a hole. So they've taken away the livelihoods of some people, and now there's this weird in between of like, what's the site for?
Hmm.
It's an interesting conversation. I think it's again a net positive. I think gambling, it should be something that you have to leave your house to do,
Hmm.
because then that makes it harder to do
Makes
in
it, yeah,
retrospect.
yeah, I get it. Cause
Um,
like, I guess my thing is just like where I understand like where some of them like, well, we're not telling people to gamble, but I'm like, you for these some of these people who are gambling, like Aiden Ross, he gambles
yep,
on his streams. You have a lot of young
yep,
fans who one they don't have jobs, so they're taking their parents' credit cards and
yep,
their debit cards and all that type of stuff, and then they're following this example, and it's like, yo, you're too young, you shouldn't be doing this. So it's like again, but I agree with you. It's like it's a very gray matter where some people are thinking
yep,
it's black and white, but it's mixed, and
yep.
it is. How do you think it's going to affect the future of Twitch?
Yeah, I think they've put themselves in an interesting position because now you go, okay, well, where you draw the line of what's gambling? Can I go to a GTA casino and gamble? Is that bannable now? But I'm in a video game. Oh, but it's still gambling.
True.
Loot boxes. Can I sit on stream and open 100 CS:GO cases, or is that
Hmm.
considered? It's left too many gray areas for my liking, and I think that's the issue you run into when you try to police the internet. And I think they've lost their judgment of morals of a company and what they want. And I think that's really the big issue is if you go back like 5 years ago and look at Twitch and look at it as the biggest growing website on the internet, and you fast forward to now, it almost feels like their company values have swapped. Now the acquisition could have been a part of that.
Hmm.
Not having to worry about money anymore, right? Because you're just backed by the biggest company in the world. Like that always helps. Um, I don't know. I think they've painted a line in the sand, but people can jump over it.
Hmm.
It's a weird situation.
Do you think they're going to be like biased on like bigger creators doing it compared to lower, like
Mm.
smaller creators doing it?
Um, yeah, I think the whole Twitch platform is biased towards bigger streamers. I
Hmm.
think they get away with quite a bit. I think they're promoted heavily, and rightfully so. So inherently, you have to protect your big creators, right? So somebody makes a slip up, somebody goes into a GTA casino and starts gambling, and you go, oh, whoa, 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 we banned that, and they go, oh, I didn't know, like. If I booted up my stream and did that, and somebody else did it, the ban times would be different.
Hmm.
Mine could be indefinite. I'll never get a response. Summit could do it, and he'd be back the next day. So I think there's some favoritism in there, and I think again it comes down to Twitch and their moral compass, which they have two norths, and they need to figure out the real north, I
Hmm.
guess.
No, I get you. You know what? Let's move on to some lighter, more fun news. Omega Strikers. What are
Oh
your thoughts
man.
on this game? Because I played it over the
Uh
weekend. We played the beta tonight. We
yeah,
got some of the
yeah.
first touches on the game, and
This might not be the right word, but I'm addicted.
we were just
From what
talking
we
about
talked about.
addiction.
I know. But like, dude, at least this game won't take my money.
Yeah,
At
you
least,
not yet.
it can, it
Depend. It
can, but
can.
I'm not quite there
I
yet.
had to drop
Um,
$5.
Man, is this game fun though? I mean, look at me just owning. My teammates ain't doing much, but
Uh-huh.
but
Oh,
this
so you're
game
gonna do it when
is
some man can't defend himself.
yeah, mainly Garrett. I'll fleece them any day again. But man, what a fun, simple game, and I think that's what really brings it home for me is the simplicity of it,
Mhm.
right? There's some niches that kind of fit everybody's want, right? There's a clear goal, get the ball in the other team's net. There's I need to defend my net, and then there's more nuance to it. There's more in-depth parts of how do we combo our utility? How do we collectively, get this brawler that's beating me up in the net and Garrett's AFK in the corner? How do we collectively come together and get this guy off of me so I can be a goalie, so I can, you know, man my net? I think the game is so new, the meta will develop. Hopefully, I can be a part of that
Mhm.
and help push that and create some content around it. But man, is it just easy, simple, mindless fun
Mhm.
that I could see having the depth to it to make it enjoyable, competitive, but also still really easy to watch.
Who's your favorite character?
So I'm a Dubu stan. I think he is just the best. He's easy. He makes me think about food, which I do already all the time when he
Mhm.
throws down his tofu ramen.
Same. I get it.
And I think he's just a big happy hamster, and
See,
I
I
daily
like
dream
him.
of being
I don't get
him.
me wrong. I think Dubu is great,
Yeah,
but as someone else who plays goalie, I just think Atlas is just a slightly bit better, and it's because of his revive. Like where if your
yeah,
teammates die, if you have that out on the field,
yeah.
there's been times where I got killed and I got revived because I had it on the field. And
Yeah. No, I think Alice can be really good too. Um,
I mean,
I
and then we
think
also got the new bulky mommy.
that is true. She's interesting. A lot of people have been banning her. People haven't been using her as goalie, which I thought would be the role she'd fit into because I think she's more of like a flex midfield brawler. Like if she throws her ult down, it just zones one side completely.
Hmm.
Um, so I think she's going to be really good. I'm excited for more characters. I think I'm just going to be a goalie main from now, and I'll
Same.
come out with some stuff
It's
for that,
stressful
and
though.
then
It makes me feel.
uh,
I feel a certain type of way because like it feels like all the pressure is on you.
yeah,
You-
it's so tough. It's so tough when like your teammates don't trust you, and you're just like, okay, why am I here?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because I know I'm so you. So I was gonna say, what are your tips for people just getting into Omega Strikers?
Yeah, find a couple characters that you want to master first. You're not going to be good at everything. Nobody can be unless you're me. So just kidding. But look, honestly, find a couple characters that you're comfortable with. Could be two different roles, can be the same role, and just get really good with them. Right?
Hmm.
If your other one's banned, you have your other one as a backup. Don't pick two characters that are always going to be banned, like X and
True.
Julia. Try to find someone's that are, maybe gets banned sometimes, and one that's always open. Master them, learn the game, pay attention. It's mindless fun, but if you give it a little bit of concentration, it goes a long way. I think having position and knowing like the angles of how the ball bounces off the walls, and understanding that you need to be open to get past to, but you don't want to get killed.
Hmm.
Um, I would say take it slow, find two characters, learn the spacing, and just have fun with it. And then if you want to dive into it more, start taking it more serious, and then really start focusing on how you impact the team, because I think that's what a lot of people are missing right now is it takes three people to play Mega Strikers.
True. Build a solid team, people, because trust me, it helps. But thank you, Keith. Again, you're always amazing. I'll make sure to tell McCoy that you're challenging him for the main man spot.
Yes, I
And
want that.
I'll see you next week, my friend.
Later, guys. Thanks.
All right, guys. And we're going to take another quick break. And when we're back, we're going to be talking to McCoy. See you
So my
soon.
name is Kevin McCoy Lynn, and I am the new coach for Knights PubG Mobile team. I am from Baltimore, Maryland, and then I am 23. So I got into gaming probably around like when I was like 3 or 4. My family had a Nintendo 64, so I grew up playing like those games. Like obviously I'm like 4, so I don't really know what's going on. Just like pressing buttons on the controller and stuff. And then I got a PlayStation 2. I don't know around when. And I played like games like Sly Cooper, Jack and Dexter, like those RPG like story type games, that were pretty popular back in like the early 2000s. And then I say around like 2010, 2011, I got a PlayStation 3. I got whatever Call of Duty came out that time, and I got really into like Call of Duty and like playing online stuff. And then I'd say around late 2011, I got a laptop, and my first computer game was StarCraft 2. And then I grinded that. I kind of have played like every competitive game, if it's an FPS, a MOBA, an MMO, climbed to the top percent of like each game. I've gotten Challenger in League of Legends. I've gotten Global Master Elite in CS:GO. I got Immortal, like 1 rank below Radiant in Valorant when that came out. My background is I was a professional PubG player for the PC edition of the game. I competed from 2017, pretty much when the game came out, until the end of 2020 when I retired. I mainly retired because they were trying out the winner winner chicken dinner thing in Worlds 2020, and that didn't seem that enjoyable to play. And then also I've been playing the game for 4 years at that point. I just wasn't enjoying it. It was kind of becoming forced at that point where I was just kind of miserable while doing it. So I decided to take a break, and then I got into some other things and decided not to come back. Yeah, so I wanted to become a PubG Mobile coach because I started playing PubG PC again, but I wasn't really interested in competing. I know a few other players like Adam Dids and Microstar like swapped over and coached. So I wanted to give that a shot, and then I reached out and became the coach for Knights, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity. Yeah, so I would usually when we won, and then sometimes before the games, like when the timers count down for planes, I would let out like a re or a victory screech if you don't know what a re is. And I don't know why I started it. I just thought it was funny. I did it once, and my team started laughing, so it kind of stuck. Yeah, I was pretty close with 2 of the Knights PUBG PC roster, mainly Voxic and Drayden. My old teammate Balak was like really good friends with Drayden, him being Danish also, if I'm correct, or maybe Swedish. But and then Voxic was NA, and then we were kind of both in the same boat where we were like the first players of our region to kind of play on like a mixed like North American EU roster. And we always went to the same lands. Like I think for the first 2 years of our careers, we were at every tournament, traveling pretty much monthly or every other month to the same lands. And we would regularly like hang out together. Like we'd go get like dinner, at like fast food places or walk the restaurants and stuff. So we were just constantly like hanging out together at the same tournaments, and just kind of bonded by being in the same areas. So some of my goals for the team is definitely to take like a little bit of the workload off them, so they don't have to like worry about like going back and like VOD reviewing every day, like watching the games back like in between games maybe. Like I want to be able to like come up there, give them info, you give them some advice, maybe like, oh, you guys could have did this differently, or this compound was open, you guys could have scouted it, like little things like that, and pretty much just make it so their life is easier and they can focus on just playing, and they don't have to focus on the things outside of the games. And I can kind of slim that work down for them and make it easier. I'm looking forward to being on the Knights and getting into the PUBG Mobile scene, and feel free to follow me and I'll follow you guys back. I'm looking forward to getting to know more people in the scene.
And we're back. I mean, we just got to learn about my guest, McCoy, a little bit, but join me in welcoming him to Knights Live. How's it going?
Going good. Glad to be here. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to have you here. I was gonna say, man, Keith, he threw down the gauntlet, bro. How you gonna respond? It was like Omega Strikers, PUBG, and then also Valorant. You think you can take them?
Well, you notice I threw in there 2 of the games that he plays, but
Uh-huh.
I think he needs the extra help, so I think it'll be easy.
All right, let's hop right into it. So you went from PUBG to PUBG Mobile. How was that transition for you?
So at first I didn't think it was going to be that bad because I was like, oh, they just play 3PP, it's probably the same thing. But after it's been a little over 3 weeks now with the team going into like 1 month, and there's a lot of things different. They don't use DMRs at all. They because it's on mobile, they can like drive a certain distance away and de-render the scout. There's just a lot of different strategies, and like the game plays way like different. It's like way faster pace, way more CQB focus.
Hmm.
It's definitely interesting, but I'm definitely getting well adjusted with the team and like learning the strats and stuff of the game.
I was gonna say, like, I agree with you. Like, there is a difference because I played like never on not on your scale. I played in like content creator like tournaments where I played against like the UFC's, Demetrius
Yeah,
Johnson, and like other creators. Where it's like I played PubG, but like I tried playing PubG Mobile once, was not my jazz.
yeah,
It was a big difference for me, and it was just like, no, I don't know how people are playing on their phones. I need
yeah.
my mouse and keyboard. But I was gonna say, how do you like being a coach? How does it feel being a coach? Like from being a player to now you're helping the next generation.
Yeah, it's definitely different, but I like it because I can bring like a lot of my like experiences and stuff and like explain it to the team. So if I had a bad experience, hopefully they can avoid it, or if they get into a similar situation, I can help them get through it easier.
Hmm. I was gonna say, like, what are your thoughts of PUBG Mobile?
Uh, you know, everyone thinks the grass is greener on the other side, in the PC community, but I think now being here, I think it's kind of the same. It
Hmm.
definitely seems the esports side they definitely support it more, which I think is good. So that's nice. But yeah, I think it's definitely good.
Do you miss playing as a pro?
Uh, yes and no. Like sometimes you like miss the competitiveness, but then also you're like, oh, I don't have to deal with that stuff anymore. Like when you see people complain about it on Twitter or drama happening within the scene, you're like, oh, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that.
I was gonna say, so I also noticed like we had a rough rocky start in the beginning of the season, but then we announced you and things like did a complete turnaround. I believe it was like day three. Is that whenever we officially like signed you and like you were helping the team?
Yeah. So I was there day two, but I wasn't like I was just kind of watching because that was my first day, like
Hmm.
ever watching mobile really, But yeah, day three was like my first day there, and I'd say when I came on, so like they're really like they're all four individually like gifted, like they're
Hmm.
nutters, they're fraggers. That's like
Hmm.
their downfall. Also at the same time where they don't have like a that one leader. So they'll get
Hmm.
into a situation like zone five, let's say. They're like, oh, let's go left, and the other guys are like, no, let's go right, and then they go
Hmm.
back and forth about that. So I've been really working with them to get one or two of them to kind of be the voice of the team and
Hmm.
like step up and make those like decisions. And at the end of the day, sometimes it's not going to be the right decision, but if you all commit to it, and I always like to say, die by the call,
Hmm.
you have a lot better chances of that play turning out well than two of you doing two different things.
Hmm. And it being chaos,
Yeah.
basically. I don't say
Yeah, I think yesterday that really showed like how that's been turning out. Like yesterday they dominated. I think they had one bad game. It was like 7 points.
I was gonna
Every
say,
other
yeah,
game they were top
congrats to
five.
you guys because you tore it up yesterday. It was like we took the first spot, which I love to see. You know what I mean? PK all day, and I assume that that had to feel good for you. You're like, okay, we're building this house and it's gonna be stable, and we got a solid team now. We got a solid coach, and again, you already proved it. Like you stepped up on day three. You took us from the bottom of the list to I believe we were 18th, and then we were third.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, first place. So I mean, like, hey, you're already doing a kick-ass job, man.
Yeah, hoping to keep the momentum going into the rest of this week and then the finals for next week.
Hey, I can already see that you guys. I could see. I don't see anyone doing anything to stop you guys from taking that first place spot. But let's talk about. So there was a recent 4K by Xenox, and I was like, you want to break that down for us?
Yeah, I could definitely do that. It was really clean actually.
I'll say I think Flippy's gonna put it on the screen. Nope, no. All right.
Okay. Well, yeah, I
Uh-huh.
can kind of run us through it. So
Yeah.
they were it was south of Yasnaya where they loot at
Mm-hmm.
the like building where they show like the teams and like the museum building, I think is what they call it in mobile.
Mm-hmm.
And Spec actually got knocked, which I like to say afterwards he did it on purpose, get the four
Uh-huh.
free kills. And they crashed. The other team's like, oh, we knocked Spec, we can pull up on this, free kills. Little do they know, our main man Xenox is feeling himself. He gets one knock
Mm-hmm.
with the UMP, turns around them four, gets a second knock, turns around, getting pushed, 1 HP, wins the 1v1, and then doesn't even go the heal. He just peeks out of the building and gets the fourth kill. He was just
Nice.
feeling himself. He went for the res right away, and then goes to smoke his teammate right after. He didn't need health. He was just feeling himself. He was on fire.
I would say how would you describe each of our like the players on our team? Like what is their strongest thing that they bring to the table?
Uh, yeah, I think so. Starting off with Coops, I think he's like your he's like the silent killer, you know. Like he's pretty vocal. There's some games where he just goes quiet, and you're just like, oh, okay, they're going good, you know. They got a couple kills, and then you click over the coops, and he has 13 kills, and you're just like, oh, when'd you do that? He's like, oh, I won D4 with like 3 teams. You're like, oh, okay, nice, good job. And then you have Spec, you know, he's from what I've heard, he's like well rounded in the PubG Mobile scene. He has some championships under his belt, you know. Like he's just all around a good player. He brings that like experience to the team. Xenox, he's like the more vocal like IGL type in the
Hmm.
early game, and he scouts for them, so he definitely gets into the good spots to you know get those kills and close out the games. And then you have Tenza. He's kind of I'd say he's more like the support player of the team. He's always there for Coops. He backs them up. He's getting the info when needs to be, and like if someone needs help, he's always there. He's like your main man. He's like your teddy bear, you know. Like you need some emotional support, and your boy
Hmm.
Tenza runs over and he's there for you to
The
give you that
shoulder to
support.
cry on, basically.
Yeah, he's like, it's okay, Coops. You got knocked. I got you right here. Just I'll get you up. It's okay.
Sorry, next round's ours,
Yeah.
basically. So, how would you say there's like, do you feel a difference from like this, like from the competitive scene with them to from whenever you were like competing and when you were a player?
Uh, I think it definitely seems the same.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely so it's like a little different because mostly when I was playing, there's a lot more lands and stuff, and it seems
Mm-hmm.
mobile is a lot more online, and then it leads to like lands. So there's like a couple lands like yearly, and then obviously COVID messed that
Mm-hmm.
stuff up.
True.
But yeah, I think it's pretty much the same. Like you have like your, you know, I call them cliques, where you have a couple teams that are like friendly with each other, and then you have your other teams that like hate each other, or you know the rivals. Like our rival is Nova. They always go
Mm-hmm.
back and forth and bicker and banter with each other, you know, in the Discord. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much the same thing, the same environment.
So when you were first becoming like whenever you were getting into becoming a pro, what made you choose PUBG? Because I was like, I remember that time. That's whenever there was like a bunch of games like which kind of had that format. You know what I mean, the battle royale style. But what made you decide? You know what? I prefer this game. This is the one I'm gonna roll with.
So I played the Arma 3 version that PlayerUnknown made, the mod that he had. So I was like
Hmm.
pretty into that, and then I always played like survival games and like you know like Last Man Standing like type games, but it was more like a survival like zombie type of game.
Hmm.
So that game just always like kind of like stood out to me. And then I say PUBG when it first came out was definitely more of like a survival, you know, loot around for 15
Hmm.
minutes and like get 1 or 2 kills. And you're like, woo, that was exciting. You know,
Uh-huh.
your heart's pumping. So I think that definitely like drew me into it. And then the nice thing about BR games is like every game's different, you know, it's not repetitive. You get your if you don't die, you know, off the start, you're guaranteed like 15, 20 minutes. You don't have teammates really to worry about
Hmm.
as much as like, you know, League of Legends or like Valorant stuff, where you're like one guy gets upset and he goes AFK, or one guy starts running it down or something. So it's just kind of like the game's all in your hands, and everything that like happens, you can kind of be like you can look back at it and be like, oh, I could have did this differently. Like, oh,
Hmm.
I ran across this field. I could have, you know, went to the tree line instead, or used smokes or whatever, you know. So you can kind of reflect more as like a player compared to other team-based games. You're just like, oh, their team was better. Unfortunate.
Hmm. I was gonna say, so I know, like in your night's life, we had the main man, Sun Man, asking you a couple questions, and the one thing I had noticed about it was like you just have gamer brain, and you're just a beast in whatever game you pick up.
Yeah.
Is it just come natural to you?
Yeah, I think like I'd say growing up, I was like your typical, you know, gamer heathen. Like I didn't really go outside. I didn't sleep that much, you know. If I did sleep, it was nocturnal hours, or, you know, I was being an owl. And
Hmm.
yeah, like I put the hours in like every game. Like if I was grinding a game like CS:GO, putting 16 hours a day, and if I was playing League of Legends, 16, 17 hours a day, and you know, StarCraft 2, that's where it all started at. I was just very competitive growing up. I played baseball, was
Hmm.
really into that, you know, always going to the batting cages, always, you know, going to the field, like hitting the
Hmm.
ball and like passing it around and like, you know, practicing scenarios. Like I've always been competitive, and I strive to be the best, or like as best as I can be, you know.
I'll say so. So since you are a pro, you're a coach now. How have you felt about the growth of esports over the years?
Uh, I definitely think it's going in the right direction. I think it still has some years to go. Like I think we have like
Hmm.
another like, you know, 10-ish years before it gets like really mainstream, because I think the
Hmm.
biggest hurdle, I know Overwatch League tried to do it, is getting
Yeah.
it on like television and stuff, you
Hmm.
know, and getting it out to like
On
the
ESPN
masses.
and all that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
If we can really do that, and like you don't have like the average people like confused or upset that it's there, then I think
Hmm.
that's really good. I think the biggest thing we have to figure out, mostly because the VCT thing just happened, is franchising.
True.
I think it's an okay route to go. I don't think we really figured out the best way to do it yet. But I think, given time, things will fall into place, and everything's like a trial and error, and they'll figure stuff out.
I was gonna say, let's talk about Super People. We that's a game coming
Yeah.
out. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's super fun. I think it's kind of like H1Z1, Apex Legends, and like Warzone with like
Hmm.
PubG gunplay. So you have like, the fast pacedness of like Apex Legends and like the movement. And then you have like the time to kill of like OG Warzone, I'd say.
Hmm.
Like when the game first came out. So like but it's a little bit faster than PUBG or slower than PUBG, but not as
Hmm.
fast as PUBG. And then you have the gunplay of PUBG pretty much. So like not everyone can just get on and just beam someone like in Warzone. You gotta put some time into it and get
Hmm.
some attachments. Upgrade your guns a little bit. So I really been loving it. I think the tournament thing they did was great. There was an NA. There was like 3,000 players at least every day signing up. So they did really well. And that's a good way to get people in your game. Fortnite showed us that, put money into something that's easy to sign up for, and
Hmm.
everyone comes.
Honestly, I assume you were tearing people up while you were playing it.
Yeah, I didn't win any money, but
Hmm.
I made it into the finals a couple times, got into the, quarterfinals. It was placement based, but they were very responsive to feedback, which is very surprising. Like most games are like, "Oh yeah, we'll take your feedback," and then a couple months goes by. But they were like making changes. Like the next day, they're like, "Oh, you guys think driver's broken? Okay, we'll ban it for the day. We'll make some adjustments, and we'll let you guys know what we're changing in 2 3 days." So I think the future of that game and the tournaments and stuff will look bright. And if they can keep the the money flowing in it and get people playing on it, then sky's the limit.
Okay, so I know you played a little bit of Valorant. I
Yes.
want to hear what's your thoughts on all this drama going on the teams who were selected, and was there a team that you were like they should have been selected over this team?
Uh, so I think the biggest thing is definitely Optic not being there, especially with how they
Hmm.
just got second place. I'm surprised that Evil Genius got in because, to be honest, they had a team still.
Yeah, I did.
They
To be honest, Sam, same.
I thought they picked up that like co-gender team at the start of the year, like last year or this year, I think, and I thought they dropped them and that was it. I didn't even think they were playing still.
Hmm.
And then you know, I'm always against the amount of Latin American slots that they get in like things. I think 2 or 3 like max is good, but
Uh,
I think if they got 3, I think Loud and Leviathan deserve it, and then I think that should have been it, and they should have been like Optic, TSM, and like XF. I
hmm.
think that would have been like perfect.
Check. I mean, I would. I'll admit I'm being biased. I mean, I wish we would have got the spot.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
obviously, yeah.
it's okay. Once tier 2 happens, and then we dominate that, we'll come up to tier 1 and we'll dominate all these teams too. So
Yeah, we can
just
have
give
like
it time.
the OG 2013 Cloud9 LCS story, where they just come up and just smoke everyone, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, that's the team."
Exactly. Just you wait. Just you wait, VCT. We're coming and we're gonna beat everyone. Just so you
They're not
know.
ready for it.
Well, we're at the final minutes, man. McCoy, you were great. Do you have any final words to your friends, family, and loved ones?
I'm glad to be a part of Night, so I'm looking forward to everything else being on here. And if you guys make sure you guys follow me, and if you're in the PUBG Mobile scene, I'll follow you back.
All right. We gotta play some PUBG sometime, man. Um,
Definitely.
preferably PUBG. Like I said,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
bad at the mobile
I
one,
can't play on the phone.
but I'm
It's like
down.
I can't play on the phone or the controller. I'm a mess on that.
But thank you again, man. You were an awesome guest, and when we're back, we're gonna just wrap up the show. Quick commercial break.
I'm Zoella, Rocket League player for the Pittsburgh Knights, and these are some quick Rocket League tips brought to you by Investor. For today's tips, we're going to be talking about Rocket League etiquette and some basic tips to get you started. In this example, we have the one player on the left diagonal kickoff and 2 in front of the net. In this case, generally what you're going to see is I will be the one that goes for the ball, Cheeks will go for the back left corner boost, and Jade will follow up behind me. Again, these things can all change if you're in comms and communicating with your teammates, but especially if you're just playing with random people online, this is usually how you want to go about it. So on the kickoff, we'll see I go after the ball, Jade follows behind me in the middle, Cheeks will pick up the corner boost and prepare to either push up with an attack or go back to net depending on how the kickoff goes. in general, when two players both need boost, if you're going to go for the same boost, priority should go to the person that either has less boost at the time, if you can communicate that, but if you're playing with random people online, you can't talk about that. In that case, the boost priority will go to the person that's going to the ball sooner. So if you're going into the offensive attack, you get the priority to pick out the boost unless you can communicate that with your teammates saying, hey, I need boost. But if you can't do that, whoever's going to the ball first is the one that should get it. When it comes to playing defense, your number one priority should be protecting the ball from getting into the net. So what that means is even if you need boost, like Gargle will here, she thinks she's safe to go for this boost, but because the ball is still sitting in front of the net, she should probably either rotate around Terran over in this direction so that she can protect the next shot that's going to come in, probably from Cheeks here. Instead, she goes for this corner boost, which then puts her out of position and leaves Cheeks with a wide open net. Another fun tip or rule in the Rocket League world is called Rule 1. Basically, anytime your cars get locked together, like you're going to see right here, you just are supposed to sit here and let your teammates continue playing until either one of these cars gets demoed or a goal is scored. And sometimes it just keeps going on for a very long time. But you're not allowed to move, otherwise you are cursed and you have to lose the game. Pretty much. That's basically the rules of Rocket League. This is Zoella, and see you next time for some more Investor Rocket League tips.
And we're back. How did you like those tips so you can get better at Rocket League? So, you know, I'm already going to add that to my gameplay because your boy can't fly yet. But we're at the tail end of our show, Nights Live. I hope you had a great time. We talked about VCT with both Keith and McCoy, and it was great to hear their opinions and their predictions. And just so you know, if you want a little bit more of McCoy, make sure to go support our PubG Mobile team because they're about to play in a couple minutes and we're ready to watch them dominate. And before you go, I have an interesting fact for you. Did you know it was legal to hunt unicorns in Michigan? Yeah, I didn't know it was a thing, but it is a thing. But there you go. There's a fact, and we have something for you to do after this show. So until next time, peace out. Gang, gang.
Only after dark. City fall. Somewhere in those lights you're on your phone. I should have known. Saw you cold. Wonder why you try. I'm still alone. You're on your own. Disconnected. Don't know why we fell apart. The feeling sets in, but only after dark.